Hey guys, Paranormal Video Gamer here, and I've chosen 10 of my favorite games of all time to really explain why they are my favorite top 10 games of all time, and my fascination with them and why I continually play them, because they're just simply amazing games to play, and if you don't own them, if you've never played them, do yourself a favor, go pick them up. They are simply incredible, and they deserve to be played by you. And these are highly recommended. They're in no special order. It's just the order I chose is the game that I played a lot more and I put a lot more hours into. Don't let that persuade you otherwise. A lot of times I'll play a game and I will get so invested into the game that I simply can't put it down. And it's games like that that really define being a gamer. When you play a game that you put so many hours into, it not only becomes part of your life, it becomes part of your history. And with this channel, as you guys know, I have a lot of history. And I've been a proud and honored member of the video game people that have been playing video games for about 34 years. So I've been playing video games for a very long time. I started when I was 6 years old, and my dad actually brought home my very first console that a lot of people had played and a lot of people had not played. It was called ColecoVision. My dad brought it home. Some guy he worked with had kids, and they had it for about a year or so, from what I understood from my dad, and they stopped playing it. They didn't like it for some odd reason. And the guy's like, I spent serious money on this, and they're not touching it. I don't want it to go to waste. So my dad said, well, I'll offer you whatever it was that my dad offered. And that night brought it home, and it changed my world forever. And it would eventually make me become a gamer. And I am, again, very proud to be a gamer. But without further ado, this is the top 10 list of my favorite games of all time on so many systems. So, let's get into the list with number 10. Number 10 on this list is Final Fantasy IX. The reason I choose Final Fantasy IX is because of the fact that it is such a great game and great experience when it came out on PlayStation. I was blown away by the overhaul of the graphics from Final Fantasy VIII to IX. Even though some people complained about the actual character models, that didn't really bother me because I understood what they were trying to do. They were trying to bring back that magic that they had Final Fantasy VII-ish. And it's just simply a beautiful game. I poured so many hours into that game, and that's why it's number 10 on my list. Number 9 on this list is Zero Horizon Dawn. When this game came out, I was a very big Killzone fan, and it was a fantastic game. And when I heard that they were doing a new game, a new IP, and it was going to be centered around the destruction of the world, I thought, oh wow, that's going to be really cool, because the previous Killzone games had been like simply awesome, and I was actually looking forward to that. And it's one of those things where you're like, all right, what could they do possibly any better than Killzone? I mean, that's what they were known for. I mean, literally, if you played any of the previous Killzone games, you knew what you were in for, and then they blew it out of the water. And I'm still playing the game. I'm still learning and discovering new things, and that's saying something about a game when you play it quite a bit and it's simply an incredible game, and I gotta give them props on it. So that's why I chose it as number 9. Number 8 on this list is the Assassin's Creed series, Origin and Odyssey. I can't choose just one because that's unfair, but I will be doing a more in-depth video about the two, and I'm kind of still filming it and trying to get the ending. I want to go through each game a little bit more in more detail, and then I'm going to pick a winner. But for right now, with this particular list, I'm choosing both Origins and Odyssey as my top 8 game of all time, because both of them are simply incredible. Probably the best Assassin's Creed that I played so far. Now, this particular one is an old game, and still one game that I still pick up and play, and I just recently got back into it because a good friend of mine started playing it as well, and it's something that I remember I recognized right off the bat, and I told him about the game, and he immediately was like, "Oh, I remember that game." This game is Legend of the Dragoon. If you've never played it on PlayStation, it was a fantastic RPG. Reminds me of the old Final Fantasy games that were turn-based, but this added a little bit different mechanic to it, and I loved the character Dart. I thought he was fantastic. I thought the art style and direction was on point, and it is still one of my favorite games, even to this day. Number 6 on this list is obvious. It has to be. I play it a lot. I still play it a lot. I took a little bit of a break, but I still play it from time to time, and it wouldn't be right to not include it on this list because it is one of my all-time favorites. It's Skyrim. Skyrim is simply just a fantastic game, an amazing game. I put so many hours into the game, but I couldn't put it at my number 1, and there's a reason for it. I just simply couldn't, and that's why it's where it is on this list, and I hope you understand, because there are other games that have blown me away just a little bit more than Skyrim. And although I love Skyrim, there's just a little bit of part of the game that I wish was a little bit better, and I hope that Bethesda actually wakes up and actually makes a freaking game that is simply better than Skyrim. And if they do, especially with Elder Scrolls 6, I will be a very happy fan. So this was a game that also came out on PlayStation, the original PlayStation, and I fell in love with the moment I saw it, and I thought it was so cool. And I remember going to the old arcade that I went to, and they had it all set up there at the old arcade, and I saw somebody playing it, and I'm like, whoa, that's so cool. And it was before Skyrim, so that's why this made it up a notch over Skyrim, and that game is Shadow Tower. Now, a lot of people will be like, Shadow Tower? Never even heard this game. It's a game that you really have to focus on and be very careful because you die very easily. It is a very hard first-person medieval game, and if you haven't played it, go ahead and check out some of the videos I've done in the past. And there's actually going to be some new videos that I'm going to be posting soon of it. But Shadow Tower is definitely a game that you, as a gamer, must own. Number 4 on this list is a game that I absolutely love. And I played it on my channel, and I beat it on my channel. And I was blown away by it, and I'm still blown away by it because there's just so much to do in the game. That game, very clearly, is God of War 4, and I know a lot of people will be like, well, what about the other God of Wars? Other God of Wars are fantastic, don't get me wrong. They are fantastic games, especially God of War 3. That picked it up a notch. God of War 2, again, it picked it up a notch from the first one. And the first game that came out, that first boss battle, That was freaking epic. And I remember going, holy crap, when I finally beat I think it was called the Hydra in the very first battle, and it was simply incredible. But God of War 4 took everything that made God of War fun and made it even better. And it had an incredible story. It showed the raw human person that Kratos is, and it took it up a degree difficulty that I've never seen before in a game. And I was worried when they announced it that it was going to come out. I was kind of like, oh, were they choosing a new God of War, and that's why they're rebranding it? And I was very concerned about that. But they took my expectations that I had, turned them on their side, and just completely destroyed any preconceptions I had of God of War 4. And I gotta give them props on that. That game is simply incredible. I know a lot of people are gonna say something about this particular pick, but I'm gonna say it. Metal Gear Solid 3, for me, is by far the best game in the Metal Gear franchise. Now, I like 5, don't get me wrong. 5 is a fantastic game. I'm still playing it even to this day. I still log in and try to make my my bases even stronger, and I still find myself playing the game over and over and over. But anytime that I can sit down and play Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, not even a question. I'm zoned in. I probably put, if I had to take a guess, probably 500 or maybe even 700 hours into just that game alone. Trying to get all of the camouflages, trying to get all of the weapons, trying to get all of the items, and trying to see if I can discover anything that was left in the game as a secret. And I spent so many hours playing that, especially when it first came out. I pre-ordered my copy, and I actually had a friend of mine actually go get my copy because I had to work that day. And I had taken 4 days off from work. I had told them, look, I'm not coming into work for 4 days. I had 2 days off on the weekend, and then I took 2 days off, and I told them, look, I'm not coming in for 2 days. There's something that's kind of happened, and I need to take care of it. And they were all concerned when I got back. But during those 4 days, I played, except for maybe about 4 hours of sleep each day, except for the last day. Last day I got 8 hours, but I literally played probably about 16 hours a day just playing Metal Gear Solid 3. And it's still a game that I absolutely love, and I'll still play. Number 2 on this list is another game that a lot of people have a problem with, and I never did. And I absolutely love it. To me, it's the best game in the series, and that is Fallout New Vegas. So I chose Fallout New Vegas because of the fact that it is a game that I put so many hours into, especially when you get all the DLC and you unlock everything and you play the game. A lot of people were very ticked off that it was a lot slower paced than Fallout 3 or some of the other pre-games beforehand, because from what I understood from the first and second one, they were kind of like top-down view. And I remember playing them back in the day, but I don't see, that's the thing about when you play so many games, you don't remember every little detail. But after I played the first 2 games, I kind of, I don't know, this is not that good. Then I got introduced to Fallout 3, played it, loved it. Then New Vegas came on, and Obsidian completely destroyed everything that I thought was cool about Fallout 3, and they made it even better. And that's why it's number 2 on my list, just because it is simply an incredible game and something that when I get the time, I sit down and I play, and I will play for hours, and I will play for hours and hours and hours. And it's just me walking around the wasteland. I'm not even doing anything. I'm just walking around the wasteland trying to discover new towns, new caves, new things, all over. And there are still things that even to this day I haven't discovered that other people have told me about. And I've been playing that game since it came out. So that tells you something about how great a game is when you can still pop it in and you can still discover new things about it. Okay, you've come to the end of the list. The number one game that I have always gravitated towards and I absolutely love is Shadowgate for the original Nintendo. When I played this game when I was a kid, it was a puzzle game that I didn't quite understand, and it took me forever to get to the very ending of the game. I went through every single nook and cranny. I picked up almost every single item I could, thinking that it had some sort of value to use in order to get to the main boss. And when you beat it and you realize that all the stuff that you picked up, like half of it doesn't even matter. Like it's simply unusable. And for me, that was pretty life-changing, because I realized that they had put in, they had put in all these items that were never going to be used in the first place. And to me, that blew my mind. Why would you put items in that you're not going to even use? What's the point? And I had so many questions. And then I saw a developers conference between the people that actually did the Shadowgate game and the new remake that they did just recently. I think it came out in 2012, and I haven't played it yet, but I heard people tell me it was really good. But when they were saying that they designed the original Shadowgate to be a game where it made you, want to grab everything and, try to figure out, okay, how come I can grab this bottle? How come there's a liquid in it? How come this? That's what they wanted to do. They wanted people to think when they were doing the puzzles that maybe I'm supposed to use this on a door, or maybe I'm supposed to use this on a window. And that experience was truly an amazing experience, even when I was a kid. And that's why it's my number one favorite game of all time. And it's a game that I simply, anytime I get a chance to play it, I will sit and play it. Even though I know how to beat it, even though I know that there's probably not a whole lot of secrets left in the game from me, because I've pretty much gone through the game completely, I still will get into that mood and I want to play it. Usually it happens around Christmas time, because that's when I got my first Nintendo when I was a kid. And I actually got my Nintendo a couple weeks ahead of time before Christmas. And I got to thank my dad for that, because he's like, this kid's not going to wait till Christmas. You got to give it to him. And I got to thank my dad, because he was on that for me. But that completes this top 10 list of the games that changed my perspective of games and my top 10 all-time list. Now, I do want to make some honorable mentions. Final Fantasy VII. I want to make an honorable mention to Final Fantasy VIII. Those games are simply incredible games. They didn't make my list because they were just a little outside of what I loved about the Final Fantasy games. And that's why I chose 9, because it brought all that back in. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, I can't believe you chose 9 over those two. And that's okay. But for me, Final Fantasy IX changed everything. And that's why it got added to the list, and the other two did not. I'd also like to mention Fallout 3. Great game. Fallout 4. Great game. I'd like to mention a couple other games that also didn't make the list that are really great games that I absolutely love. But again, it's a top 10 list. It's what I feel is the best of the best. So take it for what it's worth. And I hope you guys will enjoy my review on the... We'll enjoy the next video that I got coming up, And hope you guys will find it awesome. So that's it. Boop, 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 boop.